No! Discord shoved Chrysalis out of him and instantly went to Fluttershy's side. He took her limp body into his arms. She felt so lifeless. No, 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 he uttered desperately, stroking her mane. Fluttershy, speak to me, please! He felt his paw over his chest and closed his eyes. No matter how hard he concentrated, nothing happened. Come on, he grunted. Work, you stupid magic! Save her! Come on! After a while, he sighed in defeat. It was no use. He did not have the power to heal her. His ears perked up when she heard a soft moan. Discord? He glanced down at her. Her eyes were open, but worried. Discord smiled and gently lifted her head. Yes, Fluttershy, I'm here. I feel so, she said in a dry voice, so... His happiness faded. No, Fluttershy, please don't leave me. We'll find some pony to heal you. You will make it. I can keep trying. She moved his paw to his chest and felt something stopped her with her hoof. No, she whispered, tears forming around the Draconequest's eyes. Don't die, Fluttershy. I love you. I need you. We're supposed to be together forever. I can't live without you. She smiled at him. You'll have to. Discord held up her tighter and she coughed. Take care of the children. They need you. He took her hoof into his paw. Don't talk like that. You'll live, Fluttershy. You must live. My life has no purpose without you. I forgot for a moment, but never again, Fluttershy. I promise you. I'll never doubt you again. Just please, live. He sniffled. Forgive me. Fluttershy looked up at him solemnly and slowly reached his hoof to his face. I forgive you, she winced in pain, but just know that you're the only stallion I ever loved. Discord could no longer hold back his tears and ran his fingers through her mane. I'm no stallion. She shrugged and his rose as she kissed him gently on the lips. You are to me. As she felt her hoof slipping from his face, Discord watched as Fluttershy closed her eyes and collapsed in his arms. For the second time that day, his heart had been shattered to millions of pieces. No, he uttered. No, no! Discord took her and did not respond. Finally, he buried his face in the fur and sobbed. His wife, his sweet, loving wife, and the one he adored more than chaos was gone. The few others looked at the heartbreaking scene. Applejack removed her hat so Spike could put his arm around her. Pinkie cried into Red Shoe's shoulder while the triplets embraced each other. Rainbow held Prism while sobbing, while Rarity and Twilight hugged sadly. The others shared the embrace as wiped their few tears. Screwball was the saddest bunch of all as she threw her hooves around Dinky's neck. Now you know. Everybody looked up at Chrysalis as she spoke. You know how it feels like to have your heart ripped out from your chest. Discord lifted his head and turned towards the changeling queen, his tears stained in her eyes and burning with hatred and fury. You, he whispered. He put down Fluttershy's body and stood to his height. He then erupted into flames. You killed her! You killed her! The only mare I ever loved! Discord shouted. But of course that, Chrysalis shrugged. Too bad. He growled as the flames became stronger. Stealing my power is one thing, but this? He held out his claw and pointed at by her flame. You will pay for this, you monster! Discord tried not to cry as he let the fireball throw it at her. Chrysalis dodged out of the way and let it hit the group of changelings. The fire in Discord's eyes frightened the queen, so she had not to show it. She bolted into the air and he followed in the air. Screwball then rushed to her mother's side and gazed at the body still hung herself across the chest. Mom? She sobbed. She felt her hoof on her shoulder. Screwball looked to see Twilight's arms. Can't you do anything? The filly begged. The alicorn shook her head. No, magic can't bring back the dead, sweetie. Meanwhile, high above them, Discord continued to fire at Chrysalis, only narrowing his eyes every time he missed. His blood boiled with vengeance. Never in his life he'd be so infuriated, nor that he had such a desire to kill someone. His eyes were made the sky turn red. You've gone too far this time, Chrysalis, Discord shouted, throwing his other fireball at her. You want the Lord of Chaos? I'll give you the Lord of Chaos. He then was about to fire another one when Chrysalis smirked. It doesn't have to be this way, you know. His fire slowly distinguished as Chrysalis changed form. Flowing beside was a beautiful yellow Pegasus with pink waves cradling down her shoulders, with eyelashes fluttered over her brilliant teal eyes. She smiled sweetly at him. Fluttershy? The fake Fluttershy nodded and laid her hooves on her shoulders. It will never be that she never left, she said in Fluttershy's sweet angelic voice. Her hooves moved around his neck. We could be happy, you and I. I'll be the same way you ever wanted. You and Fluttershy together, she whispered in his ear, for all eternity. Discord was so flaxen out of those brilliant teal eyes that he thought he could never see again. As he leaned forward and saw the eyes flash green, broke him out of his trance, the angry pushed her away. No, he exclaimed. You are not Fluttershy. You may have looked like her, but you'll never be like her. The impostor glared at him when changed back to Chrysalis. Why her? What could you possibly have not seen in that wimpy Pegasus? Discord scowled as his fist tightened. Don't ever call her that. Screwball's head shot up and heard a groan, and saw her mother's head begin to move to the side. She's alive! Screwball exclaimed. The Draconic Quest was about to strike when he heard this. Then he turned to look down. She alive? So as it would appear. Chrysalis took advantage of the distraction and shot Discord with a powerful beam. The blast made him lose consciousness, causing him to fall. Every pony gasped in fright. Pinky and the tree pies rushed over to their house and came back with the mattresses. To the left, Pinky commanded. My left or yours, Blueberry said. Right. So we go right? Cherry inquired. No, left. Which way is left? Raspberry exclaimed. Lightning Dash smacked herself on the forehead. Oh, give us that. She and Thunder swooped down and grabbed the mattress and positioned them under themselves as the falling Draconic Quest flew straight up. Every pony sighed in relief as they landed on the feather bed. The twins lowered him to the ground when Screwball raced to his side and shook him while Twilight checked his pulse. He is alive, she confirmed. But not for long, Chrysalis said, standing in front of him with the FUD. At first, you don't succeed. Screwball then stood on her hind legs and gripped her hooves into fists. The mare kept Mothball away from her, kidnapped her brother, stolen her power, and now practically murdered her parents. But she had it. Chrysalis grew angry and quiet as the clouds covered the sky and thunder sounded. She looked at the young mare. Lightning struck behind her, with spiral blue-purple eyes between the flashes. Uh-oh, Lightning Dash uttered, pulling her siblings close to a barrel. The other teenage foals ducked for cover, knowing that there was more to come. You, Screwball briffed, you messed with the wrong mare! The series of pies appeared behind her and then rocketed towards the queen. She dodged him as best she could, but only to hit square in the face. Cherry, she cried. I hate Cherry. Hey, Cherry Pie exclaimed. As Chrysalis aimed her horn at Screwball, Twilight and her friends quickly moved the unconscious Discord and Fluttershy out of the way. The changeling queen shot a beam at her, but Screwball avoided and with a tilt of her head. Don't waste your breath, you little brat, Chrysalis snapped. I have your power and your father's, and you cannot defeat me. You may have the power of chaos, Screwball said, but I've been using it much longer. A shadow cast over the queen as she looked up and saw a piano falling towards her. She gasped and blasted with her horn, turning into bubbles. She smirked. Silly, but effective. I guess I could get used to this. Well, you're not going to get a lot of time, Screwball declared. By the way, meat sauce, or Alfredo. Chrysalis blinked. What? She yelped as a crackers of spaghetti fell on her head, followed by a food of meatballs. She growled at the filly. So it's a duel you want, eh? Well, what duel you shall have. She used her magic to get rid of the pasta and scraped her hoof onto the ground. Screwball got down on all fours and mimicked the queen's movement. The changeling stood loyalty behind her ruler, and she motioned them to back away. The ponies watched them and worried in anticipation. Draw! Chrysalis fired her horn, and the shock of buzzards appeared. They charged towards Screwball, but she smirked and turned them into winged oranges. Then they summoned a mallet, but Chrysalis saw it in time and moved out of the way. Screwball continued to whack her with the hammer, but the queen turned it into a rubber. Is that all you got? The changeling taunted. A bunch of childish tricks? Okay, Screwball said with a shrug. You asked for it. The water in Ponyfield Fountain suddenly changed to a brown and bursted upwards. The water spun around in a spiral, eventually forming into a hurricane. The cyclone blew towards Chrysalis, and she tried to jump in the air to escape it, but got caught by the tail and whirled around her. When it dropped her, the hurricane fell apart and soaked the queen with the brown liquid. Had enough, Queenie? Screwball cooed. Of course, Chrysalis groaned and slowly returned to her hooves. How did you get your powers back so quickly? It would have at least taken you a week to... I'm stronger than you took me for. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, Rarity had her head on Fluttershy's chest, checking for a heartbeat. Fluttershy's fading so fast, she said with terror. Thunder, lightning, Rainbow commanded, putting her hoof under Fluttershy's forelegs. Help me get Fluttershy inside. But we have to watch the fight, Lightning complained. Now! The twins took more than Fluttershy's hind legs and helped her mother carry into Derpy's house. Rarity followed behind them, levitating at the first aid kit that she had summoned from home. Screwball saw her mother being carried inside, not paying attention to what the giant red boxing glove punched her in the face. She was knocked back to the pile of hay. The others rushed to help, but Chrysalis blocked them with a ring of green fire. This isn't between me and the halfling, she bellowed. There will be no interference. She then advanced towards Screwball and sat up to rub her head. Give up, girl. You may have time to recover, but you're still weak. The young mare glared up at her. I'm strong enough to defeat you. The queen smirked. You have spunk, child. No one said we had to fight. Join me, Screwball. Together we will rule Equestria. I will gain power, and you will gain your own chaotic playground. And you can have my son inherit my throne. She kneeled down and met her eye level. No longer you will be an outcast. No longer you'll be mocked. But you'll be respected, worshipped, and you can take revenge on anyone who stunned you. And no pony will ever spoil you again. Screwball's eyes widened with the queen's words. And then they got narrowed. Wait, you're offering me? She said. I've already gotten. And frankly, she rose from her hooves, I don't want that kind of life. Chrysalis did not show a glimmer of surprise. Then you must die. She then powered her horn and something appeared between the two. Screwy, finally! Mothball? Screwball gasped. Chrysalis had not seen her son to cast a spell without hesitation. Screwball hesitantly pushed Mothball out of the way, landing on top of him, and his eyes were wide with shock. Am I late? Screwball panted. Where have you... She trailed off and she saw what held in her hooves. Zany opened his mouth with a smile at the sight of his sister. Screwball looked over at her brother and then at Mothball, who was wearing a nervous grin. Surprise? Chrysalis finally noticed Mothball and dropped her jaw. How did you get past the guards? And how did you get the boy? The prince then recalled that he and Zany were cornered back at the hive, and he was for sure Garner's until Zany used his surprise urge to teleport them out of there. Unfortunately, they had reappeared in the frozen tundra. Since the changelings were cold-blooded, it was not a pleasant experience for him. It took them several teleportation spells from Zany before they were finally arrived at the battle. Well, it doesn't matter, Chrysalis shouted. You have disobeyed me for the last time. Screwball took Zany and teleported him close to the other side of the flames onto Twilight's back, then stood firmly in front of Mothball. The queen paused, and at the action she felt the love pass between the two. She could sense their power that instead of transferring to Mothball, it was bouncing back to the filly and growing stronger with each second. The frightened queen, but of course she covered her fear with a smirk. Oh, my son, she said, shaking her head. Have I taught you nothing? Love is weakness. Besides, you have no heart to feel it. Mothball stomped his hoof. You're wrong. Chrysalis jumped out into a surf tone. What? You're wrong. I do have a heart. I've felt it. I've known it all along. Haven't you? Mothball! Haven't you? His mother then stared at him for a moment and then grunted. Alright, I suppose I'm going to have to destroy you anyway. You might as well know. The couple then tightened their grip on each other as the queen circled them. You're right, she began. You are a little more different from your other siblings than you do appear. But you see, my son, a common changeling is simple. Making a royal changeling is two-creature job. Unlike your half-less siblings and you have a father. Mothball stiffened. What? It was one night stand with some random fool who I thought I was his wife. Screwball gagged. Oh my god, that's just sick. I was shocked to recover that prince that came out of it. At first I was thrilled at the idea of having the heir, but then I just realized how much of a pony you really were. It seems like your father was giving you life and giving you a heart. So I tricked you into believing that you didn't have one. I intended to have it shape you into a hard, cold, cruel changeling that would one day become an evil tyrant to where you were born to be. I almost succeeded into doing until this meddling halfling captured your interest. Oh, is that true then? Mothball exclaimed. You have lied to me after all these years. Oh, Mothball, Mothball, Mothball. I lied to everyone. But don't worry, my dear. I will put you out of your misery. She then fired her horn at him. No! Screwball cried. As she moved in front of him, a golden bubble formed around the pair, caused the green beam to bounce off. What? Chrysalis uttered. The two looked around in the magic they were encased in. It reminded Mothball of something Screwball had back in the day of their mother's story. What is this? The prince wondered. I don't know, Screwball said. I was thinking about saving you and... Mothball then recalled the image of the two ponies, Zikora's cauldron, and the zebra's words. That is what happens when two become one. They possess a magic more powerful than the sun. What you think is weakness, if not so. Strength is what comes in the glow. Love is strength. What? Screwball said. Therefore, force field did not last long as Chrysalis took her chance. Screwball quickly used her magic to steal her and Mothball into a steel box, hoping to buy them time. Zikora, he exclaimed. When she was talking about the balancing the powers of strength, she was trying to tell us that our love is creating some sort of magic that could possibly defeat my mother. But that makes no sense, Screwball insisted. She gains power from love. How could it be used to defeat her? When she remembered that she had defeated Chrysalis in the first place, Cadence in shiny armor, those two were in love. Cadence was in love, the princesses of love, and maybe, Screwball gasped suddenly, chocolate milk! Mothball blinked. Screwy, this is hardly the time for a snack. No, hear me out. You've said to yourself that chocolate milk is love, right? Yeah, I said it tasted like love, but, well, chocolate milk is the best thing ever, and it makes you feel great. But if you drink it too much, you'll get a bellyache. If chocolate milk is anything you love, excesses of it It can make you sick, the prince gasped and grabbed his shoulders. Screwy, you're a genius. She battered her eyes and flipped his hair. Yeah, I know. Their moment was interrupted when Chrysalids' horn burned through the hole of the steel wall. The queen was growing in frustration. Enough is enough! The couple then glanced at each other and stepped out of the box indifferently. We agree, Mother, Mothball exclaimed. This has to end now. They stood on their hind legs and squeezed each other's hoof. Mothball whispered to her, How are we gonna do this? Screwball spun him around to face hers. Kiss me. What? Queen Chrysalis panicked for a moment but quickly reverted her expression of one of anger. Quit stalling and just meet your fate. Kiss me, Screwball repeated, pulling her lover closer to her. Mothball flinched away. I can't. You have to. I don't want to hurt you. He tried to pry out from her grasp, but she held him firmly. She looked up at him sincerely, and their purple whirls enchanted him so. You won't. Oh, whispered. She did not savor that moment. There was no time for that. Instead, she was straightforward. Their lips met each other before they could protest. He expected her to feel pain, and he expected her to slip away, but she expected the power to transfer her to him permanently. Instead, she felt warmth, and he just as felt it deep and within himself. He found himself liking the kiss, and his soft lips tasted of chocolate. Her gentle hoof caressed her face, and at last he closed his eyes and flung his forelegs around her surrender. Their mares that were blown veins were blowing the wind, and then they rose into the air. Golden mist swirled around them. Chrysalis looked up in horror. No, she said, no! And then on the other side of the flames, Discord was recovering from his concussion, and then he rubbed his head and his vision came to focus above the green fire and made him out of there. And of course, two ponies made a ball of golden light, and his eyes propped once just where these ponies were going. He's kissing my daughter! He scowled. He's kissing my daughter! The others then just nodded clumsily, and they just watched as their mouths agape. Oh, don't just stand there like idiots, Discord bellowed. Do something! Get that creep away from my... He trailed off when Zany jumped into his stomach, gurgling happily. Dada! Zany? Discord said, taking the infant in his hands. Is that really you? The tiny pink cloud appeared once as the boy dropped the chocolate milk. The Draconica smiled. It's you, all right, but how did you... The baby pointed up at the floating couple. A light surrounded them grew brighter as they rose together. Then the two opened their glowing eyes. A white bubble expanded towards Chrysalis. The queen cried out as the magic pushed her back. The other changelings attempted to flee, but the force field was too fast for them. The army screamed as they were sent hurtling towards the changeling forest, not to be seen for a long, long time.